Hey everybody, I'm Roman Asbill. I'm Judah Asbill's father, and I just wanted to update you on where we're at with fundraising for the spinal surgery Judah's needing for his scoliosis. So I'm going to tell you up front, this video is going to be a little bit more nerdy, and I'm going to talk a little bit more medical on this one because I've been getting several questions from people that are interested a little bit more on the medical details of this surgery. So if you don't want to watch the whole video and you're just like, hey man, I'm just here because I'm curious and I'm concerned about Judah and I just want to know how to give. I'll go ahead and link right now. You can give online at GoFundMe, and I'll put the link right here. And then the other way you can give if you live in the Panhandle of Texas area, if you live in Canyon or Amarillo area, you can go to Happy State Bank, any Happy State Bank in the Panhandle of Texas area, and you just make your checks payable to Agape Missions, and then on the back where you would endorse the check, you would just put this number, yep, and then you put Judah out by the side, just Judah, so that it goes in the correct account. So we think we're close to having everything figured out, and so we feel confident in saying that the total amount will be somewhere in the neighborhood between $150,000 and $200,000. We believe it's about $157,000 is what we believe it is. Now, thanks to you guys and Children's Miracle Network, we've been able to raise the $45,000 that it took just to schedule the surgeon. So that got him scheduled. It got him on the schedule for August the 22nd. I've said that a couple of times now in different updates. But he's scheduled August 22nd. Then there is the anesthesiologist that you have to pay. There's also neuromonitoring because they're working on the spine. And so neuromonitoring monitors movement and brain activity. I guess layman's terms, neuromonitoring is make sure that they're monitoring the spine so that they can avoid paralysis at spinal surgery. Then the next big portion, the next bucket of money is St. Peter's University Hospital. That's where the surgery is supposed to take place. They just sent us the estimate for the hospital portion of the surgery. And the estimate is $86,657. So I know you can't see that. But that's their estimate. Two things. We have filled out the buy-in Medicaid paperwork and sent that in. My wife and I make too much money for regular Medicaid, but apparently, unbeknownst to me, there's a lady approached us and said, hey, but if your child has severe medical issues, you can do a buy-in to Medicaid, and you get it at a reduced rate, so it's based on your salary. So it's for people that aren't insured or can't afford insurance. And so we have done the paperwork on that. It takes about 3 weeks before you hear back. It's been a week since we sent it off. We ought to know in about 2 weeks. And there's no guarantee that he will get, that he'll be approved, but we sent off a packet, I said in my last video, it was a packet about that thick of medical records and all kinds of things. So we've sent that off. Once we get that sent off, then the hospital has said they will take out-of-state Medicaid with a waiver from the state of Texas stating that it's okay, basically. We know a lady that knows the people in Austin, and they can get that waiver, they believe. So we're keeping our fingers crossed and continuing to pray, asking you to continue to pray, because if that came through, that would be a tremendous blessing and help to pay for the surgery. We've also filled out a number of grants and other things, and so we're doing our due diligence to try to figure out how to get this all paid for. There's MRIs, there's x-rays, there's follow-up, there's travel expense, so there's all that said. And again, I told you this was going to be a nerdy update. But all that said, we're looking at between $150,000 and $200,000. But we simply don't know all the unforeseen costs with, again, MRIs, and there will be follow-up x-rays. We will have to travel back to New Jersey at least once or twice after the surgery for the doctor to look at it. The rest, they believe they can do here via Skype, the world of technology. But we'll still have to pay a doctor here. And so anyway, that's our best guess at the moment. So I did want to say, for anybody wanting to give, I gave you those links. We're also going to be having a community fundraiser for Judah. It's going to be July the 20th from 7 to 10 p.m. July 20th, that's a Friday night, from 7 to 10 p.m. and it's going to be at the Fellowship Hall at First United Methodist Church, where I'm on staff. And so we're going to have it's going to be a dance, and it's going to be a cake auction. And so admission is by donation, and then you can bid on cakes while you're there if you like sweets and you want to do that. And so that's one thing we're doing. My wife and I love to two-step and country and western dance, and so we thought, hey, that'd be a fun way to scratch our own itch to go out and dance, and then also provide a fundraiser for the community and people that might want to get out and have a date night and enjoy dancing with their significant other. So that's available as well as far as fundraising goes. So now I wanted to get into the nerdy part of the medical. For those of you that are interested in that, there have been several people that wanted to know, well, why is this surgery so expensive? Why don't you go to Shriners? Shriners is free. You're not insured. It just makes sense. Yes, Shriners is free, and we could get Harrington rods put in Judah all day long. The problem with Harrington rods is that is the basic fix for scoliosis. And Harrington rods, they put them in your back, and so they fuse your spine. So Judah's spine is pretty severely deformed. And so what they do is they fuse the spine. So they take a bone graft and they fuse that puppy, and it becomes a solid bone. And then they put rods in on either side, and it holds it in place. The only problem with that, my wife had that surgery done 20 years ago because my wife has scoliosis as well. She had to have the rods taken back out 3 years ago, or maybe 4. But anyway, she had to have them taken back out 20 years later. And so they did their job as far as scoliosis goes, but fusing your spine is basically a death sentence to any activity. And so you eventually wind up, for the most part, disabled at some point because your spine is meant to move. That's the best they could do 20 years ago. Technology has advanced now. And so you say, yeah, right, so the Shriners does this surgery. Well, you're kind of right. And so they do similar surgeries. They do VBT, what's called VBT. And that is verbal body tethering, which is similar. It includes what we're going to be doing for Judah. But verbal body tethering, they work on curves that are 40 to 65 degrees. If it's a flexible curve, it's a growing spine. If it's but if it's a curve over 65 degrees, vertebral body tethering is not an option. But this anterior scoliosis correction does some of the same things that the vertebral body tethering does, except the VBT itself will not work on curves over 65 degrees. It does not work on stiff curves. It does not work on mature adolescents, adult curves, or complex curves. So this anterior scoliosis correction was uniquely pioneered by the doctors, Dr. Antonacci, Dr. Betts, and Dr. Not even going to try her last name, Cootie. I'm probably slaughtering that name, and it works on curves over 65 degrees that are an S curve, not just a C curve. They are an S curve. which is what Judah has. And his surgery it'll be on the right anterior, the T5 vertebrae or T6, all the way to T12. And then the left anterior, T12, all the way to the L3 or L4. Okay? And so those are the vertebrae that are going to be included in his surgery. And so the surgery itself goes in underneath either, because it has an S curve, they'll go in on one side and fix one curve, they'll go in on the other side and fix the other curve. This whole time we've been trying to avoid surgery because the only option was Harrington rods. Now, many, many years later, there's other options. And so that's one reason, because this guy's the only guy that does this in the world. That's one reason why it's so expensive. Judah's curve, not a doctor, so bear with me, but his curve it's progressive scoliosis, and it's Cobb, which is one of the diagnoses they use, or it's a word used in the scoliosis diagnosis. His Cobb evaluation it's at 72 degrees is one of the curves. And so as you remember, as I was talking about the VBT, VBT only covers up to 65. Anything over that, it will not, they don't do it. So that's why we're going to this doctor, and he does this. He's in New Jersey. He has an office in New Jersey and one in New York. And we'll be going to St. Peter's University Hospital in New Jersey to have this procedure done by his staff in that hospital. We'll be there, we go August 22nd, we'll be there 2 weeks, 1 week in the hospital, another week just in the area, so that if there's any complications, we're not a bazillion miles away and we don't have to fly back. We can just go directly to the hospital. Then they'll send him home, and the cool thing about this surgery is the whole recovery process, if everything is smooth, is 6 weeks. And then he's back to his normal self. And back to sports and doing all that jazz. So that's the update. I'm sorry this was long, and if you've watched all the way to the end, thank you. And again, the community of Canyon and everyone in Amarillo and around, everyone that's given, could not have done this alone, and I'm truly, truly grateful. Thank you so much.